Now, if you're like me, you appreciate a ship with good defensive capabilities, one where you don't need to be the best pilot to survive an interaction, just something that can keep you alive long enough to achieve what you're looking to do in the verse. Whether it be tanking enough hits from a turret in order to find a safe place to land, or to withstand enough fire from enemy ships to give you time to get out of a hairy situation. And with the Anvil Paladin just being launched into the PTU and being a big Anvil fan myself, I took the time to explore it and compare its stats with other ships that previously served this purpose for me, and kind of see where it ranks up among them. Now, the Paladin has 4 size 4 pilot-controlled weapons, which can instead be controlled by turret operators, and a massive quad size 5 remote turret, which can switch from the top of the ship to the bottom, controlled by the co-pilot, giving the Paladin excellent coverage when fully manned. But for the sake of this video, I'm actually going to be comparing this ship to others based on being piloted by a solo pilot, since I know the majority of us probably will be flying them most of the time by ourselves. And during this, I actually found out something unique about the Paladin's weapon capacity also, which I'll share at the end, so stick around for that. Also, since currently there's only a handful of ships that are considered gunships in the game, I'm including some dropships and heavy fighters that I've often used for this purpose. And these ships are, of course, the Paladin, the Redeemer, the Terrapin, the Guardian MX, the Retaliator, the Asgard, the Corsair, and the Starlance Attack. Now, I've been kind of pulling information all from spviewer.eu and Urkel Games. Go check those out for all the stats that you need to find and compare themselves. And for all these tests, what I've done is for the guns, I've removed what was loaded onto them and put your base sort of energy laser repeaters on. So stats all should line up. Now, immediately what we can see is the main one you want to know is with the HP and shield capacity. You've got amazingly, it is the Terrapin has the most amount of HP among all these. And then we've got the Paladin has the max HP after them. And then you kind of got the Starlancer, and has the Starlance Attack really has kind of equal HP and shield capacity on that. But the Paladin, out of the majority of these, it does seem to have the highest HP and one of the highest sort of shields when you come across it. Then when you come to the pilot DPS, the Corsair has the max sort of base on there, but then after that it is the Paladin. So with those 4 size 4 weapons, you can shoot at enough to really kind of outgun the majority of these ships. Then I've also included on here the quantum fuel capacity for all of them, because essentially if you're going to be using a ship like this, you want to just be able to go around and do mission and mission and mission. Having a proper amount of quantum fuel is really important to kind of put it in that sort of daily driver category. So the Corsair has the most, which makes sense. It is the Explorer ship out of all of these. And then the second after that is Paladin. You can, so effectively, you really can stick on the highest, most fuel guzzling quantum drive you can, and you can go back and forth at tremendous speeds doing missions and not really have to worry about your fuel for a long time. You can really stay out there in the verse. Then we come down to the SCM speed and the nav speed, and surprisingly the Terrapin has some of the best, but it is kind of negative. Like all these speeds here, there's really not all that much difference between all of them. Like, to be honest, like a little bit of speed difference, I don't really notice it, especially if we're talking about something that's supposed to be like a tank in space. Like, as long as you've got enough HP and shield to keep you alive if you are being attacked, then it doesn't really matter. You can kind of just get the hell out of there. You're not going to be like just trying to fly away specifically from people. So that doesn't matter so much. If it was we're talking about a fighter or something, it would matter. But in this instance, it's really not all that important. And then lastly, I've sort of gathered the information for the prices of the ships. The Paladin and the Starlancer both kind of come in around the same price. Then we get the Asgard. Yeah, so while the Paladin is sort of one of the more pricier ones on this, when it comes down to ships that actually are effective, they're all kind of sort of around the same price. And we don't have all of them on the game stores at the moment, so we don't really have the in-game prices for the Redeemer, Terrapin, Retaliator, and Corsair as of yet. So looking at the totality of all this information, when it comes down to something that is, tanky and does the most damage, like the Retaliator doesn't do any damage if you're kind of flying solo. The Terrapin, while it has that great HP, like you're not going to be able to do any damage as well. Also, the Redeemer used to be like the king for this field. Like it used to have like the top HP and shield capacity, but that got nerfed all the way to hell. And so it really isn't a contender against the Paladin anymore. If anything, if we were to predict from what was going to happen with post sort of launch initial sales with the Paladin, I imagine the HP, they're probably going to nerf HP down a bit to kind of put it more in line with the Redeemer, I imagine. But at the moment, as it stands, like I do think Paladin is the king of, having max health and guns at the moment for the size that it is, which is good. I think I did some missions where I was flying around, and landing in sort of like hot zones to see how well I could handle just sort of tanking hits, and it did really well. Like I was able to land, get out, kind of like trying to do the mission, and I stopped and went, you know what, I'm gonna head back in and jump on that remote turret to actually take down what's firing on me. And that like indecisive amount of time of me just pottering about was plenty. Like I had enough shield and HP on the ship that I was able to potter around for a bit until I finally got on and just wiped everyone out with that remote turret. Like it was that that powerful enough to be able to justify doing that. And so for your average sort of mission runner who appreciates you aren't the quickest on things, you're not going to have backup arriving, you're not going to have a friend be able to jump on the guns, and that it's strong enough that you can just get on, like you can stop ship where it is, get out of the seat, jump on the co-pilot seat, and then use that the remote turret to 4 size 5s is huge. You're going to be able to shoot anything from any direction, really. I remember back in the day of doing that with the Redeemer when it had better shields. You could you could jump on one of those turrets, but you were stuck say on the top. But if there were anyone below you, you'd have to slowly exit that seat, then jump on the lower turret to be able to use that to take anything down below you. And in that time, someone may have already moved above you. So the fact that you're on that turret and can position it from above to below to get the 360 kind of viewing, it really is like far more justifiable to be able to solo kind of do little dodgy tricks like that in it. And I can see myself doing that in the future in a pinch as well. And yeah, as I said, it's got enough HP and shield to be able to manage that. I also wanted to check out what the weapon capacity was like with the Paladin, because so far, like stock, it's got enough power to be able to put all power into everything, to your shields, your thrusters, and your weapons. In fact, this is something that I imagine they're going to nerf in the future. But something interesting happened when I tried to do the old trick of removing the top man turret's weapons to then add more capacity to the main pilot firing gun. Did they limit it? Perhaps they have. Can't do it by key either. I think they're limited, so you can't just take them off and get a massive capacity increase. These side guns have preempted this, and instead of just allowing you to, which logical means you should, I thought they realized it would probably be too powerful if you had that much capacity on 4 size 4s, because it was 4 size 5s on the roof, right? So a lot of extra capacity you would have had. Instead, you can only get like a couple of shots out of it. I wonder if that's something that they've done across the board with ships. Weapon capacity is like on the Starlance attack with those turrets still attached. So 54 shots in the Starlance attack. So yeah, I've removed the 2 guns, man turrets on this. Now in live, this works. It's sort of the way at the moment in life. You want to get more capacity out of your pilot guns. If you know you're just going to be solo and you want to get some extra juice out of those pilot controlled guns, you remove those manned ones. And so I'm just going to test. So in the Paladin, it doesn't, because you know, like a tiny bit more capacity, and it kind of limits how much you can assign to them. So they've taken that into consideration. I don't want to see that they've done that to all the ships, like the TAC. So let's take a look. Yeah, we're only halfway, and it's 40 something. Interesting. So it seems like only the Paladin that has had the ability to boost capacity. Limited. All right, thanks for being around while I had a bit of a ramble. I hope you had a good Citizen Con and time. I know I haven't been around for a while, but I thought it was important to jump on to make a video. I'm doing well. I hope you're doing well. My name's Dead Leader. I'll see you out there in the verse. Just a funny thing I noted. I was looking through here, and earlier on, I had access to all the new ships, not just the Anvil Paladin, but the Shiv and the Stinger, and I was going to do reviews on them, but then I logged back on after actually doing a PTU, like deleting and copying my account again, because I realized there were a bunch of ships on here that I did own that weren't on there yet. So I thought, oh, I'll do that to update it. I logged back on and I didn't have access to them again all of a sudden. And I was like, what's going on? And then I realized, oh, I think I was removed from the Star Citizen creator program thing a while ago, before I had been taking a bit of a break, because I think maybe I had made one too many critical videos. But look, that's fine. They don't owe me anything. But keep that in mind, other creators. If you are a little bit too critical, you may lose some of the buffs, the perks of being able to look at some of these ships beforehand without having to actually buy them. So I don't think that I will do a review of the other ships, just because I don't have the money to be buying, you know, constantly Star Citizen ships. I only just upgraded the Paladin because it was the only one that really sparked my interest. But I did get a little chance to look at the Shiv, and my overall thoughts on it is why. I don't really know why they've made it. It's just clearly like they've been showing all the on Star Citizen Live of them kit bashing ship parts and stuff together, and it's clearly just that. If they were gonna, I like the idea of, you know, an aftermarket ship of someone's using all the different brands to make something, but I'm absolutely bamboozled as to why they then didn't make something other than pretty much exactly just what the Cutlass Black is already, just with less things. Like, it's a tiny bit faster. I think it might put out a little bit more damage, but I don't know. I don't really know who that ship is for. Yeah, I think it's a missed opportunity to not have done something unique with it. Like, if you were gonna mishmash different parts of ships, I would have thought they would have, you know, really made something unique with it. You know, it'd be interesting if they got a mining ship or a salvage ship, and, you know, mixed functionalities in between them, so it really was something unique and interesting. But instead, I think it's just a little job for the interns to be able to push things together, mishmash things together. Yeah, well, that's just a little note. Interesting.